Sri Lanka, and other countries. We are agreeing a kind of a rate. Maybe direct quote or indirect quote. For LKR1 to other country rate. For other country rate 1, LKR rate. Direct quote or indirect quote. Right? That's called foreign exchange rate. Direct quote or indirect quote. Once you are dealing with this scenario, once you are going to your open economy, we are having different players. Some of them are very big players, some of them are very small players. These big players we call as maybe developed countries. The currency they are using we call as their currency. Their currency, right? What are they? Dollars, yen, maybe euro. Those we call as their currency. Right? Others, common currency. Rare currency and common currency. For rare currency, we have a higher exchange rate. They have a high demand. They have a high demand for rare currency. High demand for rare currency. Then, so this exchange rate will be decided based on the demand and supply. Demand and supply. It will reflect your strong ability, visibility in the market. Whether you have a developed country, strong country, that will reflect through your exchange rate. ඔයාගේ exchange rate එකේ power එකෙන් පේනවද ඔයා කොච්චර strong කියලා? පේනවද? මොනවද දෙයක් ඔයා negotiate කරන්න හිතන්නේ? නේද? ඔයාට මෙච්චර දෙන්න. ඔයාට මම මෙච්චර දෙනවා. ඒක depend වෙනවනේ ඔයාගේ power එක. දැන් ඔයා හිතන්න example එකක් ගන්න. ඔයා කවුරු හරි ඔයාගේ friend කෙනෙක් family එකේ ලොකුම කෙනා. family එකේ ලොකුම කෙනා ඔයාට හරි family එකේ ඉන්නා maybe 5 members කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා. 5 members ඉන්නවා. ඔයා හරි ගන්න දෙනු කරගන්න. water make the right තියෙන. මේ ගන්න දෙනකොට වාට power එක වැඩි නැහැ. ඔය වැඩි පුර අර benefit එකක් ගන්නවා. මාගේ ratio එක වැඩි වෙනවා. percentage එක ගන්න. ඒක තියෙන සමානලාට equal කරන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි competition එක base වෙලා economic decision ගන්නකොට ඒ powerfulness එක base වෙලා यानी demanding power එක වැඩි වෙනවා. The exchange rate එක ඇතුලේ තමයි demanding power එක වෙනවා. මේ demanding power එක අනුව තමයි අපේ exchange rate වැඩි. අපි dollars වලින් කොපි කරනවා. එතනට යාලා create කරලා තියෙනවා. dollars වලින් demand අපි dollars වලින් තමයි හරි දැන් වාට විතරක් වාට वाट ताइलैंड जानो इंडिया जानो इंडिया में कोई मिल ना करने कोई ब्राजील में डॉलर्स मगाए और डॉलर्स की इंडिया में मतलब जैसे वाट वाट यूएसए या तो अरे यूएसए या तो वाट डॉलर्स का तो पावरफुल यार then Lanka is into government, Srilanka would be done as different. Lanka is into government, Srilanka would be done as more rather than reading up then the Guru and for USA dollars. Yani modern sulla cross, yani ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් පුළුවන්. ඩොලර්ස් ගන්න. ඩොලර්ස් ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් කීයවත් නැහැ. දන්නේවත් නැහැ. ඉතින් ඩිමාන්ඩ් එක පිට ඉතින් පවර් එක. ඒ cash not එක. So then that's why we are calling that it's a rare currency. There's a high demand. How they have done it? Most of their innovation, their demand, we also can do it. If you want to be a kind of a required country, required person, you can do it. You can do it. If you come in grow currency, dollar එකට compete කරන්නේ euro currency එක හැදුවා. compete කරන්න ගලෝ රටවල් set එකක් එකතු වෙන තමයි euro එක. compete කරන්නේ. දැන් චීනේ currency එක try කරනවා හිතෙන්ට කොමල් currency එකක්. ඒක තමයි language එක. ඒ විදිහට වෙනවා. දැන් අපි හිතනවා English වලින් use කරන්නේ. අරලන හොඳ දෙයක්. That dependency again, but we should have. Without English, we don't have a future. That's just, if you want to have a better future, you should have this. Now, Americans say without $20, we don't have a future again. It doesn't even අපි concept එක ඉංග්‍රීසි කතා කරන්නේ. ඉංග්‍රීසි කතා කරන්නේ. ඒ concept එක කාගෙද නැහැ ඉතින්. දැන් මේ කියන්නේ ඒක කැන්ටින් රට, මේක සිංහල වෝග්ද රට. ඒක මොන කතා කරන්නේ? මේ ඉස්රායෙලි රට. ඒක පොරු කතා. නෑ එහෙම නෙවෙයි. හැබැයි ඉතින් තියෙනවා ලොකු බිස්නස් වර්ල්ඩ් බිස්නස් එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒක අපි රියලිටි එක දක්වනවා. ඒ රියලිටි එක තමයි වෙලා තියෙන්නේ සවුත් ඒෂියන් කන්ට්‍රීස්. ඒ රියලිටි එක අපි වෙලා තියෙන්නේ එයාලා කෙලින්ම ඇක්වයර් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඔයාලා දන්නත් මුලින්ම ඇක්වයර් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඔයාලා iPhone පාවිච්චි කරනවා නම් අපි මෙමරි එකකින් කරනවා ඔයාලා හැක් වෙලා ඉවරයි. ඔයාලා ෆිල්ම් එකකින් ඉඳලා කතා කරන දේ ඉඳලා ෆෝන් කෝල් එකකින් ඉඳලා ෆෝන් ලයිව් එකකින් ඉඳලා හැමදේම හැක් කරන්න ඉවරයි. ඔයාලා හැක් කරලා ඉවරයි. ඉන්ෆර්මේෂන් වයිස් ඔයාලා fully hacked. ගෙදරවත් control එකේ නැති control එකක් foreign countries අරගෙන තියෙන individual level එකේ. Agreed? Acquire කරලා අම්මලා තාත්තලාවත් එක්කන acquire කරලා ඔයාලා. Agreed උත්තර. යාලා සූක්ෂම මාර sensitive විදිහට acquire කරනවා. ඔයාට ෆෝන් එකේ ඔයාට පෙන්නන වීඩියෝ ඉදන් ඔයාට දැන් දෙතෙන්ට ඇක්සස් කරගෙන ඔයා බලනවා හරි ස්පෝර්ට් එකක් බලනවා ඒ විදිහේ වීඩියෝස් තමයි ඔයාට දෙන්නේ. ඔය බලපන් මේ වගේ. බලන එක ඔයාට මේ ඉන්ඩිපෙන්ඩන්ස් එකෙන් හරි කන්ට්‍රෝල් කරනවා. සිත කන්ට්‍රෝල් කරනවා. ජෙනටෙක් ෆයින්ඩ් කරනවා. ඒකට ඔයා හොඳ සෙන්ස් එකකින් හොඳ බිස්නස් සෙන්ස් එකකින් ඇනලයිස් කරන්නේ. ඒකට පවර්ෆුල් බස් එකක් තියෙනවා බිස්නස් වලදී. බිස්නස් එකක් කරන්නේ. World business. So the exchange rate is part of that. Kind of a reflection, kind of indicators, kind of a KPI. Yeah. So then compared to dollar, LKR rate, it's a KPI. It's getting higher than recently be positive for the last 6, 7, 8 months, we had a bad experience. So then by using this, we can do kind of a profitability prediction. Different things are there. So then make a local topic here. Making subject develop the complexity development. Change rate here, concept model. Around that, creating a risk, creating a business risk. So then, if you have created a business risk, you should know what are the risk mitigation actions. What are the risk mitigating actions? So that's all about what? The topic. Make a risk mitigate karana, ya hata karana. Mono subject again. Finance management. Foreign currency risk mitigating actions. Finance management. Ikut dikatakan ada foreign currency forward contract rates, foreign currency exchange rate hedging. So then different techniques are there mitigate the foreign currency risk. Foreign currency risk here can අපි risk ගැන කතා කරලා තියෙන risk එක ගැන නේද? හරිද? risk කියලා කිව්ව audit risk කිව්ව. අපි expect කරන දේ හම්බ වෙන්නේ නැති එක තමයි risk කියලා කිව්වේ. Deviation from the expectation. Then if you want to expect some exchange rate, you can't get it. That's what exchange rate risk. And the PBN එක කතා කියන. PBN එක basic අපි කරනවා. ලොකු complex කරගෙන today we are going to machine. The machine එක purchase කරනවා normally දවසකට ටිකක් machine debit credit cash. With credit cash ඉතින් අද සල්ලි දුන්නා. අද සල්ලි දුන්නේ නැත්නම් සල්ලි දෙන්න බැරි වෙනවා. මාස තුනකින් සල්ලි දෙන්න. මාස තුනකින් සල්ලි දෙනවා නම් පාටි කරනවා හරි. අද මම පොළොවේ 200යි දිරුවේ. මාස තුනකින් 200යි ගෙවන්නේ කියලා. ඔය හිතන දෙයට වඩා ඇත්තටද වෙනස් වෙනවා. That is called exchange rate risk. වාට ගෙවන්න ඕන 230. 230 ගෙවන්න. දැන් මම ටේබල් එක ක්‍රියේට් කරේ 230 ගෙවන්න. ඒ ඇඩිෂනල් ෆිගර් කැෂ් ගෙවන්න ඕන. කැෂ් ක්‍රෙඩිට් ඩෙබිට් කරන්න පුළුවන් BPN එක. Endless. PHP asset එක ගන්න කරපු එක. asset එක ගන්න කරපු එක. asset එක ගන්න නිසා එකට දාන්න බැරි. Yeah. ආගින් කරන්නේ. දැන් මම අහන්නේ. අහන්නේ තේරෙනවනේ. ඔයාලා හිතන්නකො 200 ගානේ ඉතින් 1000යි උනේ. එහෙනම් අපි දැම්මේ liability එක. Payable credit asset account debit. Right? Payable එක ගෙවනකොට 200ට ගෙවන්න බෑ. 250ක් කියලා ඩොලර් එක. 250ක් වුණාම අපිට ගෙවන්න වෙනවා 2,50,000. දැන් 2,50,000 cash credit 2,50,000. payable එක credit 2,50,000. right? payable එක credit 2,50,000. දැන් payable account එක ඇතුලේ අපිට තියෙනවා 50,000. 50,000 credit here debit කරන්න පුළුවන්ද මෙතෙන්ට කියන එක තමයි අහන්නේ. බැරි නම් නෙයි. ගත්ත asset එක නිසා නේද මේක ආවේ. set එක නිසා ආවේ. set එක useful condition එකට ගන්න කරපු expense එක. Can you capitalize this? Or is that an communication expense? And capitalize. Can't capitalize, why? It is not impact to future economic benefits of the asset. In asset, We need to reflect future economic benefits, present value of future economic benefit. This is a kind of a penalty. This is a kind of a penalty we need to pay because of this delay. Right? It will not impact to the asset future earning power. You getting me? Delay කරලා pay කරා කියලා asset එකේ earning power එක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. කලින් ගත්ත asset එකම. ඔයාගේ delay එක නිසා කරන්නේ penalty එක ගෙවන්න යනවා. Right? So then that's a incurred some cost. That's an expense. That's an expense. Foreign currency operational loss. Right? It should be charged to the P&L. Should be charged to the P&L. So then this 50,000 came because of foreign currency. This foreign currency. So then we have a different subject called foreign currency risk management. Take a different topic. We have different strategies to discuss foreign currency risk management. So after having this foreign currency risk management, foreign currency, everything, so as an accountant, we have another topic, another subject. What is that? Based on this topic, we have kind of a reporting process as accountants. Our reporting process should be in line with whatever the given techniques. Because of this kind of technical area, people have to different things. Because of that, we have a standard. Standard is complex areas. Electricity expense standard electricity complex area. Power energy, solar power, solar power standard SLFR is 30 bucks. Foreign exchange standard right? Because around that, we have different terminology, different the reporting aspects, conversions, different usages are there. People may use different techniques. Because of that, to streamline that process, we have a standard called case 21, the effect of changes in foreign exchange. So as an accountant, we need to practice this. We need to do reporting in line with this. We have a set of definitions, we have a set of guidelines. It clearly says, once you are having a foreign subsidiary, this is the way you have to follow. Once you are having foreign branch, once you are having monetary asset, once you are having non-monetary asset, this is the way you have to follow. So then, it's crystal clear. We have a guideline, we need to follow it. That's the basic aspect of the requirement of the standard. This is a common standard. We can't say that this is for inventory, this is for BPN, this is for IT. This is not a sub kind of standard. This is like a self-finance 30. Very common standard. Right? Common standard, we can't specify balance sheet item or P&L item. It's a common standard. If you are using foreign exchange related things, we have to use standard. Right. That's the draft. Questions? In the standard, we have definitions. Standard diagram. In the standard, we have definitions. Once you are dealing with exchange rate, this will fluctuate based on the demand and supply. Demand and supply. So then it's been decided through demand and supply. Sometimes according to the policy of the country, that may vary. But you know that this economic elements governed through different policies, right? We have monetary policy, and much other points of fiscal policy. If you have a closed economy, once you have going to the world open economy, we have foreign policy, foreign affairs related policy. Under this foreign policy, how you are managing your foreign exchange rate, right? Whether you are giving the opportunity to free float, or you are holding your exchange rate. So then that depends on your country decision. ලංකාව එක හෝල්ඩ් කරගෙන ඉඳලා තමයි ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් වුනේ. එහෙම හෝල්ඩ් කරගෙන ඉන්න what you have to do? You have to have good foreign currency reserves. Otherwise, it's really difficult to hold it, right? එහෙම තේරෙනවද? කොහොමද හෝල්ඩ් කරගෙන ඉන්නකොට හෝල්ඩ් කරගෙන ඉන්න පුළුවන්ද බැරිද මොකද වෙන්නේ? Reserves කියන්නේ මොනවද? ඒක හොඳට තේරෙන්න ඕන. ඔළුවේ ඒව නේදකොට තමයි ගන්නේ. කියන්නේ ඔහා ලේබල් එකකින් එනකින් එහාට අපිට හිතෙනවා නේද? මොකද ඒක වෙන්නේ මොකද උනේ foreign exchange rate fix කරගෙන ඉන්නකොට මොකද උනේ? I think you should know that. Because you are reading the accounting and you should know you are in the commerce field and finance management field. You should know what's happening at your the foreign exchange mechanism, how you are managing it as a central bank, what are the approaches they are using. If you are holding your exchange rates, what are the implications? So then those are very important. Very important. Then how we are going to one day explain for time holiday. You may explain Carol. So let's say we have exchange rate. You know that in monetary policy, we have monetary interest rate corridor, right? Interest rate corridor. Within that corridor, we are giving to fluctuate, right? So central bank creating a kind of a corridor, and they are managing the interest rate between that corridor. So likewise, we can create a corridor for foreign exchange rate as well. So then again, I'm explaining. In economy, we have different policies: fiscal policy, monetary policy, economic, this foreign exchange related foreign policy. These three policies should go in line. These three policies will impact to micro and macroeconomic factors in different ways. Okay. So then once you are dealing with these three policies, it's very difficult to combine. So then monetary policy impact to fiscal policy impact to foreign policy. Right? How it happen? Monetary policy always focus about what? Interest rate and money supply. So interest rate and money supply, once you are increasing your interest rate, your money supply will decrease. So then once your money supply will getting decreased, your investment definitely will decrease, right? Money supply is decrease, investment decrease, your production dropping down, and your inflation going up, your production going down, your exports maybe going down, and it will impact to the foreign policy as well, right? That will impact to fiscal policy as well. Likewise, this will interlink. Once you are getting these policy decisions, we need to look at other microeconomic factors. Once you are actually getting inflation, sometimes it may impact your exchange rate, right? දැන් මොකද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ economy? Interest rate අඩු වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. නේද? Interest rate අඩු වුණාම මොකද වෙන්නේ? Interest rate අඩු වුණාම මොකද වෙන්නේ? Interest rate අඩු වුණාම bank වලින් interest rate අඩු වුණාම bank එකේ සංවිධානය FD දාන්නේ ඒක මොකද කරන්නේ අපි? ඒවා invest කරනවා. නේද? bank එකේ සංවිධානය අපි bank එකේ කරා invest කරනවා. අපි invest කරනකොට මොකද වෙන්නේ? production එක වැඩි වෙනවා. production එක වැඩි වෙනකොට employment එක වැඩි වෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ production වැඩි වෙනකොට අපේ export වැඩි වෙනවා. අපේ inflation එක අඩු වෙනවා. ඒකට රටක් විදියට මොකද වෙන්නේ? interest rate අඩු වෙනවා. අඩු interest rate වැඩි වෙනකොට ආරකන් දී වෙනවා. සල්ලි පොත්වල දාන්නේ නෙමෙයි. ඒ සල්ලි interest එකෙන් දිවත් වෙනවා. යාළුවෝ ගන්න interest එකෙන් තමයි. credit risk එක තමයි. යාළුවෝ credit businesses. So businesses can motivation එකක් එන්නේ. If you know that if you don't have much credit risk and credit the motivation, so then you can go to the businesses and profitabilities, right? Okay. So then that's all about the background of the exchange rate, and this will decide based on the demand and supply. So then within a year, there may be different impacts to an organization once you are dealing with foreign exchange, foreign countries, right? No need to directly deal with export and import. You may receive foreign currency in different ways. Let's say you are doing a hotel, you are accommodating for foreigners, they will pay through foreign currency, right? Foreign currency, physical cash, right? So then there's an impact to you, right? Sometimes you may have foreign exchange in commercial banks. You are having FCB, foreign exchange banking units, right? You can open accounts in foreign currency. If it is so, as at the reporting date, you may have foreign currency as your cash. You don't need to do direct foreign currency transaction. So likewise, as a business, you may have different foreign currency involvements in your business day-to-day transactions. In that, you need to understand different technical words. Basically, first one is the portrait. 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 Portrait and the closing there. Portrait means once you're doing your foreign currency transaction, the exchange rate and that the transaction rate equal as spot rate exchange rate. Spot rate. The rate as at the transaction date equal as spot rate. Spot rate. The rate is at the transaction date equal as spot rate. So the transaction rate whenever we exchange rate will be spot rate. Spot rate. And the closing rate. Closing rate means so then that spot rate may be changed with the exchange rate as at the financial statement closing date. It may be the rate as at the 31st December, 31st March, the closing rate. That rate. We make it spot rate as at the reporting date. Ekak spot rate ekak. Spot rate as at the reporting date. That's called closing rate. Right? So then these are two concepts. Again, we are learning other two concepts. That is called is that is presentation currency and operating currency. Other two critical things you need to know. Functional currency and presentation currency. 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 Functional currency. Okay, the currency we are using for your main function, the way you are functioning. It's called functional currency. Functional currency. How you are function your operation. What's the currency you're using for your main function? Main business. Main business in the sense how you are functioning your business. What's the currency you are using? That's called functional currency. Mainly, as organization, what's the currency you are using for your function of the organization? What do you mean by that? Just what's the functional currency? For Sri Lanka, Sri Lankan rupee, most of the companies, 99% of the companies functional currency is Sri Lankan rupee. Why? All the functions are handling through this currency. What are the functions? You are purchasing, paying salaries, maybe you are settling your debtors, creditors, and purchases. Everything happens through LKR. That is called functional currency, right? So, what functional currency is local currency එකට වඩා වෙනස් විදිහට define කරගන්න ඕනේ. ඒකත් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඔයාට ඕන වගේ functional currency dollars කියලා කියන්නේ. ඒක වෙන්න පුළුවන්. That's up to the side. Management judgment, management decision. So then you have to prove. Standard is clearly saying that you have to prove that your functional currency differs with the local currency. So then you need to justify that. From our sales, 99% sales we are earning from this. We are paying by using dollars. If it is so, our functional currency is dollars. Not okay. So the concept is functional currency is the currency we are using for main functions of the organization. And as an entity, you are having only one functional currency. As an entity, you are having only one functional currency. Now, functionally by using this, but you may have different presentation currency. Presentation currency means with your requirement. For requirement, what you are doing is you are converting your functional currency to another currency with the requirement. The presentation currency. The requirement, if you are presenting to in another the currency, equal as presentation currency. You are doing your financial by using LKR. If you want to convert it to dollars, dollars is the presentation currency. You may have different presentation currency, but you are having only one functional currency. Functional currency and the presentation currency. Exam එකේ අහන්න පුළුවන් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නේද? Functional currency, difference between functional currency and the presentation currency. Right. So then this is the definition for functional currency. Functional currency of entity will be the currency that influences the revenue of the entity, influences the pricing policy of the entity, influences the material labor and other costs in which finance is generated, in which receipts are retained, mainly influences the prices at which at the end sales goods and services. These are the features of the functional currency. So this is the standard definition. So now make a serial matter again. දැන් මනසන තරර දැන් මම ගන්නකොට මේක සමහර දේවල් දැන් දේව කිව්වා මොනවා හරි කිව්වේ නැතුව ඇති නේද? එහෙම කියන්න බෑ. يعني සේරම කියන්න බෑ. So then overall understanding. ඔක ඒක එන්නවනේ කොහොමද? මේ පොතේ තියෙන මේකම මතක තියාගන්න functional currency mean that's the whole currency that it will be used for the function of the organization. That's it. Function of the organization will be derived with the receipt, payment, labor, payment, sales, everything. Right? And we can learn that. So what to make a matter kind of that, right? Functional currency. So these are the definitions basically. Foreign currency is a currency other than the functional currency of the foreign currency. Yes. Presentation currency is a currency in which the financial statements are presented, right? Spot exchange rate is the exchange rate of immediate delivery. Closing rate is a spot exchange rate at the balance sheet date. So then foreign currency. Foreign currency means we can define that as other than the functional currency. Other than the functional currency, if you are using another exchange rate, that's called a foreign currency. Functional currency mainly functional using the currency. Other than that, if you are using a currency, that's called a foreign currency. That foreign currency or functional currency may be our presentation currency. So the presentation currency in which the financial statements are presented. Once you are preparing financial statements, you can use a foreign currency or functional currency. Mainly we are using functional currency. There's a reason we can use the foreign currency. Whatever the currency you are using for the financial statement presentation, we call as presentation currency. Keep in mind. Spot exchange rate, that's the exchange rate at the delivery, at the transaction rate, at the point of you are doing your activity. Closing rate, exchange rate. Right. So this will helpful. This is kind of a supporting, definitions for your future, aspects. Once you are doing your conversion, this concept may be helpful. That's why we are learning, right? Definitions. Monetary items and unmonetary items in a balance sheet. You may have monetary items and non-monetary items. Monetary items mean you may receive cash flow, supposed to pay cash. That's called monetary items. In currency terms, you're supposed to pay, you're supposed to receive. That's called monetary items. Non-monetary items, it may be fixed asset, goodwill, or inventory. You may not receive cash, currency items. or you are not supposed to pay currency items, non-monetary items. Right. So then here we have the definitions. I hope you are clear with these definitions. I discussed that monetary item, non-monetary item, spot exchange rate, closing rate. So then we are discussing how we are dealing with these monetary items and non-monetary items. Approach required, right? Normally, monetary items, non-monetary items. We are using monetary items and non-monetary items. As at the reporting date, let's say you have monetary items and non-monetary items in the balance sheet in foreign currency terms. We want to convert that for monetary item using the closing rate. Non-monetary items, you don't have the expectation of currency. So then we use historical rate. Right? So then that's the basic approach. So this is the measurement basis. Monetary item, non-monetary item, initial recognition and subsequent measure. Initial recognition always spot rate, whatever the transaction. Initial recognition and the spot rate. Spot rate, exchange rate. Whatever the rate we had at the transaction date, we use for the transaction as the initial recognition. Now, when it's ඔයාගේ PPNE වල measurement එක කොහොමද? real value use කරලා ඔයා initial ගන්න වෙලාවේ price එක තමයි හැමදේම cost එක තමයි initial recognition. Then the initial recognition is cost. Subsequent you can use the cost or evaluation one. Keep in mind. Same way. Initial recognition spot rate. Subsequent you can use closing rate and the historical rate. You can understand what it is, right? Foreign currency transactions shall be recorded on initial recognition in the functional currency by applying applying to the foreign applying to the foreign apply to the foreign a party by applying foreign currency amount the spot exchange rate between the functional currency and foreign currency at the rate of transaction. So then this was repeated. Remove that. So then it's very clear. Once you are doing a transaction, you are doing transaction by using functional currency. Right? Functional currency. Doing transaction in functional currency in local, you don't want to worry about the foreign currency. We are doing a different currency, you have to concern. So then, what's the value you are going to get? The spot exchange rate value. That's the normal scenario. Initial recognition based on the spot exchange rate. Initial recognition. Subsequent recognition. Foreign currency monetary items shall be translated using closing rate. Right? Non-monetary items that are measured in terms of historical cost in foreign currency shall be measured using exchange rate at the date of transaction. Spot rate के transaction rate के समय use कराने non-monetary items. That's the two critical things you should know. Non-monetary items that are measured at fair value foreign currency shall be translated using exchange rate. Non-monetary items. Non-monetary items may be land, right? You are using fair value. As at the fair value measurement date, the spot rate, exchange rate should be used for your presentation. Shall be translated using the exchange rate at the date when the fair value was determined. When make arbitration, important. Very difficult. All right. Non-monetary items that are measured at fair value in foreign currency shall be translated using the exchange rates at the date when fair value was determined. Or fair non-monetary item and up here. What's the method you are using? Fair value method. And it really says, don't use historical as non-monetary item. What you are going to do? You will have an exchange rate at the date you are using for your fair values. Use that exchange rate for your presentation. Samples. So then you have a land. So you see evaluation function. What you are going to do is you are converting that presentation currency at the year-end rate. Now we are discussing about exchange rate value. These three things. Initial recognition, subsequent measurement, very critical. So then here we are discussing about this one entity operation, inside operation, right? Inside operation, let's say at the year end, we have foreign currency cash. What we are going to do? Foreign currency cash or return. We need to convert that to the local functional currency, presentation currency. What you are going to do? You are using closing rate. Historical rate calculation. Next, closing rate. Or या audit करने पड़ता है. तो आप ये रेट के वैल्यू करना पड़ता है. तो आप ये ना FCB काउंट है. एक कंपनी. एक मोनोट दिए, डॉलर्स दिए ना, डॉलर बैलेंस है ना. इस आगे LKR saving account के आगे डॉलर saving account है ना. वहाँ इधर पर saving account डॉलर के लिए डॉलर अमाउंट निकालने के लिए LKR निकालने के लिए तो बहुत मार रहा है. तो वैल्यू कितने हैं ना? ना वन डॉलर RSK उनके देखभाल ना ये वाला डालेंगे तो हमारा हमारा एप्पल भी डॉलर में कितना पैसे देगा तुम्हारा? That's not giving a meaning. Are you getting it? So then once you are putting your financials, you have to use one currency. If it is dollars, dollars. If it is LKR, LKR. You can't put dollars and LKR in one column, right? So then if you have FCBU account, current account, you are having dollar balance, right? So then if you are having a dollar balance, what you are going to do? You are going to convert it to the presentation currency. Maybe your presentation currency, we assume that is the functional currency. LKR. I'm going to be the name. Wow. Convert current, I'm going to presentation currency. LKR. Once you are converting LKR, what's the rate you are using? Closing rate. Closing rate you have to use. Closing rate के मुकाबले use करना नहीं है उसको कर दिया. Closing rate के देखाती है. Make it देखाती है. Make it देखाती है ना. Make it देखाती है. Buying rate and the selling rate. Buying rate and selling rate. Or else we have two things. Buying rate and selling rate. Right? I think you know that. If you have an asset, if you have asset, closing rate should be buying rate. If you have a liability, foreign currency liability, that rate should be selling rate. Take a data. If you have a foreign currency asset, it's buying rate. If you have foreign currency liability, selling rate. Are you getting me? We are discussing about foreign currency conversion. Oh. Okay. So then, don't tell me that in English, ignore that. Try to speak. Let me know if it's difficult. I always try to explain this. So here we are discussing about simple things. We have dollars and that is reporting rate. So then yeah, having buying rate and the selling rate. My question is, if you have some kind of a dollars, what's the rate we have to use? Buying rate or the selling rate? Two different scenarios. Sometimes you may require dollars. Sometimes you are having dollars. $100 loan, we have this. You may have a dollar loan, or you may have dollars. We have a dollar loan. You want dollars to pay this. Right? If you have dollars, you can give dollars to them. Two different scenarios, you have to use two different rates. So if you have asset, you have SPV account with dollars, you have to use buying rate. Why? You have dollars, you have to give your dollars to someone, somewhere, and you need to convert that to LKR. For them, always you have to think from bank side. Bank, what they are doing bank, they are doing for the business. Buying and selling business, they are doing. For foreign currency, buying and selling business. They buy foreign currency and sell it down. Buying price less than selling price. That's an analysis. Yeah, what is that? No, it is up in our foreign currency. Yeah, selling price is current. Buying price. So then, if we have foreign currency, now balance sheet, what we have to use is buying rate. Yes, sir. Should be used for the sense. If you have foreign currency loan, you want foreign currency to pay it. What is your foreign currency liability for it? Real buying rate is the for the liabilities, you have to use selling rate. That's the closing rate, right? Closing rate may be selling rate or the buying rate. Keep in mind. This difference, conversion difference, you have to park that in the other comprehensive income. Maybe other income, right? Component of other comprehensive. Okay. Conversion difference. Conversion difference, once you are preparing your cash flow statement, keep in mind it's separate line item. Foreign exchange, conversion difference. You are doing your cash flow statement, definitely it's a separate line item. It's not a investment activity, it's not a financing activity, it's a separate line item. Foreign currency conversion. And then Monetary item, not monetary item. So in a main organization, you may have different exchange channels, two exchange channels. You need to figure it out separate. This one, conversion channels. There's another foreign exchange channels. Realize operational channels. This one tax for the taxation, this is not allowed. This is conversion channels, right? This will be the different tax impacts. When the tax is allowed, this is conversion. It's a book entry, right? It is not realized. At the year end, we have asset and liabilities. We are converting. We have foreign currency asset and foreign currency liabilities. Monetary asset, monetary liabilities. Non-monetary asset, non-monetary liabilities. We are converting. Through that, we are having a gain or loss. That's the financial entry. It is not tax allowable. It is not tax allowable. It's creating a temporary difference. It's creating a deferred tax impact. Right? But foreign currency exchange realized loss is tax allowable deduction. What do you mean by that? මෙතන මොකක්ද? මේකයි වෙනස් කරලා තියෙන කට්ටිය ඉන්නවා. මෙන්න 50,000 මොකක්ද කියලා මතක නැහැ. We purchased a machine. We had a delay. Because of that, we paid extra cash. That's a delay. That delay, that's an exchange loss. Already incurred a loss. We have paid. Realized a loss. Realized loss. Realized revenue of time I realized it. Incurred loss. Right? Right? So then here there may be a loss. That's a conversion. You have not paid. This is for presentation purpose. Kind of a provisioning aspect. We have foreign currency. By using buying rate or selling rate, we convert that for the presentation purpose. Once we are converting that, we have a gain or loss. Still, we have not realized, not incurred this. Right? So then that is not allowable for taxation. This is allowable for taxation because this impact was happened to the organization. Likewise, in organization, during the period, once you are doing purchases, sales, you may have different foreign exchange gain or losses realized, right? That is recorded based on what rate? No is no, rocket science, conversion, no need. It was already recorded, right? After recording all those things, final balance, final cash balance may be converted based on the closing rate. හොඳට තේරුම් ගන්න ඕන. හොඳට. නැත්නම් foreign exchange gain or loss tax exempt. ඒක දාලා ෆයින් එක රිසන් කරලා දාලා ඒක එක්සෙප්ට් කරන්න ඒක ඉම්පැක්ට් එක 400 million Right. Return center. Foreign exchange, gain or loss. Exchange allowable deduction. They assume that foreign currency exchange gain or loss is a conversion gain or loss, not conversion gain or loss, it's realized gain or loss. Right. Right. I said that tax issue, I said I will show you that what happened, what you are having is exchange gain all of the identification for taxes. Okay, then so I hope that this is clear. So then we can move to the next part. Very straightforward. This the very useful. The next part, conversion of foreign operation. So then this is really important. Changes in functional currency. We are in the changes in entities functional currency. The entity shall apply translation procedures. Translation procedures is the next part. Applicable to the new functional currency perspective of the date of change. Usage of presentation currency other than the functional currency, right? This is the mechanism you have to follow. Different presentation currency. In a scenario that you are in a different presentation currency, you are supposed to represent different presentation currency, not one presentation currency. You have a one set of financial statement in different presentation currency. Now you are going to full convert that presentation currency to another currency. So then this is the approach you need to follow. මේක තමයි all console එක convert කරනවා නම් මේක use කරන්න වෙනවා. Right. කලින් කතා කරලා so that once you are doing your business, if you have individual items, monetary items, non-monetary items, how you are going to convert it at the reporting day? Once you are doing your own core reporting, right? So then now you have done the reporting. You have a set of financial statement. Now you have a set of financial statement by using functional currency. By using functional currency, you have a set of financials now. Now you are going to convert to another presentation currency. Right? Another presentation currency, how we are going to do that? Let's say you have a foreign subsidiary. You have done the financials by using functional currency or there, Indian rupees, right? By using Indian rupees, now we are going to convert it to a Sri Lankan rupee. This is the approach you need to follow. Asset and liabilities for each balance sheet presented, including comparative, shall be translated at the closing date at the date of the balance sheet date. Right? Income and expenses. Each income statement shall be translated at the exchange rate at the date of the transactions. Date of the transaction. All resulting exchange difference shall be recognized as a separate component of the equity. You mean by that? When you make කරන්න බෑ. Can't do that. What you will do then? Make a more important. So your balance sheet should be converted based on the year end. Closing rate, balance sheet items. P&L items, they ask you to get the transaction date during the period. Can you do that? What you have to do? You have to use the average rate. Average rate should be used. So then, in the exam, once you are doing your practical scenario, let's say you are having revenue. If you are having revenue, better way is revenue should be split to 12 months. That revenue amount should be multiplied by the monthly average exchange rate. That's the practical thing. monthly average percentage into monthly revenue. That's the the most accurate way. If you don't have information, if examiner has to give that information, what you have to do is you have to calculate average rate and multiply that with for the period balance. When මෙතන මාක් එකක් රතු පාටින් දාලා ලියාගෙන ඕන එකක් තමයි කිව්වේ. That's really important. So then after having this closing rate and average rate difference, definitely after converting this impact, there's a difference. Then make a PNL item the average rate taking convert kalla. At the year end balances will be converted by using closing rate. Definitely, we are creating a difference. That difference we should identify that as a separate component in the equity. We have to recognize that in the other comprehensive income. Other comprehensive income. Foreign currency conversion difference. Foreign currency conversion difference should be displayed. That's really important. When the way slide deck. Article that can be tested in the exam. After the slide deck, we are discussing about foreign currency. Now we will done that. The slide we have here now. It's about foreign currency exchange. We have foreign operation. They have already completed their financial statement by using their functional currency. And they have presented that by using functional currency. Now, we are going to convert that to another currency, another presentation currency. How are we going to do that? Asset and liabilities, balance sheet items by using the closing rate. Convert. And P&L items, we use the transaction rate. Products. I'm a P&L item, one of the sales. So then what you have to do is get the average rate and convert it into the sum. Definitely you are getting a difference. That difference should be accounted in other comprehensive income. Maybe a gain, maybe a loss. That is the summary, right? That is the summary. That's the core understanding you should have in definitions, right? So these are the disclosures. These are the disclosures. Exchange rate impact, reason, and justification for the functional currency. Is there any changes? The amount of exchange rate difference recognized in the profit or loss. Yeah. When there is changes in functional currency, reporting entity to significant foreign operation. When an entity present its financial statement in currency that is different from the functional currency. So these are the basic disclosures. So the last one, when entity present its financial statement in a currency that is different from its functional currency. It shall be described the financial statement as compliant with Sri Lankan accounting standard. We need to explain that, the reason why you are presenting, why you are not using functional currency in your presentation currency. That's a risk. Then you need to mention the functional currency as well in your financial statements. You have to mention that this is the functional currency. So there's a separate heading in the financial statement. Once you are going to your stock exchange, whatever annual report, it clearly says this is the functional currency. Presentation currency and the functional currency is equal. Okay. එහෙනම් බලන්න ඕනද statement? I think you know that, right? The disclosure. The කට්ටියට බලන්න ඕනවද? මොකද කියලා කියන්නේ? දැන් ඔයාලට පුළුවන් මේ not මේ standard කියනවා. Foreign currencies, functional and presentation currency. එනනේ. මොකද කියලා තියෙන්නේ? Functional and presentation currency. Item included in the financial statement of each of the group's entities are measured using the currency of the primary economic environment in which the entities operate the functional currency. Right. The consolidated financial statement are presented in Sri Lankan rupees, which is the company's and group functional and presentation currency. What it means by their functional currency is the presentation currency. Okay. Each entity's group determine the functional currency and item included in the financial statement of each entity are measured using the functional currency. They can say මේවා use කරන්න තියෙන්නේ functional currency use කරන්න measure කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. ඒ වගේ disclosure එකක් තියෙනවා. So then අපේ disclosure එක මේක වෙනස් වුණා නම් මෙතන කොහොමද හදන්න ඕන අපි? Though it is, we have done the operational everything in the Sri Lankan rupee as a functional currency. With the request of these things, we have presented financial statement by using dollars කියලා. Yeah. That reason should be very strong. We have to mention there in this system. So to make disclosure again, because of LGS 21, right? Okay, that's about LGS 21. I hope you had a good knowledge in this economic. With the grade 2 economics, macroeconomic factors, exchange rate, and the basis of exchange rate out of the scope. Exchange risk mitigation plans, and then what are the rare currency, and then common currency, and then financial policy, fiscal policy, foreign policy, combination of that, how we are managing it, the application, and we move to the reporting. Under reporting, accountant's role. Accountant's role is to determine the functional currency and the presentation currency. And identifying the monetary asset and the non-monetary asset, determine the spot rate and the closing rate, do the transaction. If you have a conversion, do the proper conversion and do the proper disclosure. That's it. That's all about accountant's role. Done. 21. interval වලද නැන්නේ? මහාර කේස් එක. Right. Okay, take interval and come back in 10-15 minutes. It start 11 o'clock. 11 to 12:30. 12:30 to 1. Lunch 1 to 3. Task 3 to 7. Sundays. අපි ඊළඟට කතා කරන්න උනාද? ඊළඟ කතා දැන් foreign exchange 20 part ඉවරයි. දැන් ඉවරයි. අපි ඊට පස්සේ කතා කරමු console remaining. Console remaining. when ඒක කතා කරගෙන ඉවරනකොට පොඩ්ඩක් ගායි. Don't worry about that. Then after the lunch break, night kata kan. Night. I then we have done some of the things which I will tell you. Then we can have a session after the lunch break. That's the plan. Then here after we are starting 11 to lunch, we'll complete our console remaining part. Again, අපිට කරන්න කියනවා translate කරනකොට බැරි එයාලගේ transaction rate transaction list එකක් අරගෙන කියන්නේ millions of transaction ඒ list එකේ exchange rate එක කවද්ද කියලා බල convert කර එන්න කියනවා. practical කරන්න පුළුවන් නේද? ඒක තමයි වෙන්නේ. Again. Consulting disposal of the secretary. All linear facial rate. One in a. Oh. We need to start, right? So as we have a lot of Now I'm going to discuss about disposal. Uh, Disposal. As I mentioned today morning, disposal, the opposite word of acquisition. Acquisition. Once you are acquisition means acquiring the control, disposal means you are going to roll out, removing your control. You are going to release your control. So that's a basic understanding. So then, at the point of releasing your control, we call as disposal. So then, now we are going to discuss the treatment for disposal, right? So then, as I discussed last week, there may be 100% disposal. There may be investment retention. Maybe 10% investment. Subsidiary retention, maybe 90% to 80%. More. Associate retention. Five. Team disposal. So then these are the types of disposal. We have a kind of subsidiary. We are going to dispose that. So then at the acquisition, we did a investment. At the disposal, the disposal, we are getting cash consideration to the entity, to the parent company. To acquire the company, parent company invested, right? Once you are disposing, at the point of make the හොයන්නේ අපි මේක ලියාගත්තා. මේ හතරවෙනි පාඩම මේක කියන්නේ. This is the fourth time I'm repeating myself here. So these are the types of disposal. These are the types of disposal. You can 100% dispose. But සම්පූර්ණ විකුණලා දාන්න පුළුවන්. වට 10ක් තියාගෙන විකුණන්න පුළුවන්. වට 100 control එක තියාගෙන ටිකක් විකුණන්න පුළුවන්. මේකට තමයි මම කියුවා. Transaction with NCI. Step acquisition වලත් අපි කරන්නේ මේක. ඒකේ අනිත් පැත්ත කරන්නේ. 60% acquisition 80%. Again transaction with NCI. Here transaction with NCI was the other way around. What we are doing is we are selling something and we are getting some cash. Still we have the control. So taking in a gain or loss in the මොකද්ද? It's a separate equity item. ඒක අපි අලුතෙන් ගෙන ගන්න දෙයක් නෙවෙයි. Right? Associate retention and then team disposal. So we are going to do the maths, the calculation. Same logic. Disposal, gain or loss calculation. Right? අපි goodwill calculation එකේ අනිත් පැත්ත කරන්න. Goodwill calculation එක කරන්න. So the consideration and then parents consideration, NCI and the equity items. So the net assets. Comparison, goodwill. Now we are going to calculate disposal gain or loss. Disposal gain or loss. So then for that we are having a separate account, disposal gain or loss account. Temporary account, disposal gain or loss account. Right. So then this disposal gain or loss account, we are calculating the purpose of getting the gain or loss at the point of disposal. So the dispose කරන එකේ gain or loss කියන්නේ කොහොමද? අපි නිකන් උඩින් ලියුවොත් disposal consideration. Disposal consideration. Disposal consideration. NCI. Net assets. Disposal gain or loss. So then once we are adjusting this, we have to adjust the goodwill as well in between here. Right. So then here we are getting the disposal gain or loss. That disposal gain or loss can be accounted like this. We have a separate account, disposal gain or loss account. Right? Under this account, how we are going to account? That's the consideration. So then, you know that in control, at the point of disposal, we may have different accounts, goodwill, NCI, maybe stated capital of the company. Right. So the NCA account should be NCA account here credit, right? Credit balance is there. Credit balance is there. Now we are going to get that to this account. Now NCA in the left side, not right side. NCI. Right. So then, now we are going to give the consider. Now we are at the point of investment acquisition. We make the investment cash, credit, debit to cost of control account. Right. Now we are going to dispose. We are going to give our percentage and we are going to give cash. Cash, debit, credit to here. Disposal, percentage, cash. Cash, cash, debit, credit here. අපේ හිතන්න goodwill එකක් you have a goodwill debit goodwill credit here debit here goodwill should be disposed right other retained earnings stated capital is the net assets what is the largest value this one debit here credit parent P&L and consolidated earnings can be parents retained earnings right consolidated earnings can be after doing the disposal we don't have consolidated so then this gain should be credited to parents retained earnings so then here we are getting the large amount NCI value and the consideration the value we are getting at the disposal. We are putting here net assets plus goodwill. This is the gain. Debit gain here, credit to parents retained earnings. This is the disposal account. This is PO kind of a 100% disposal. 100% disposal. දැන් ඔයා මේ 100% disposal එක බලලා බලන්න යනවා මොන වගේ disposal එකක්ද මේ disposal එක දැන් පාට ටුට්ටක් තේරුණා දැන් මෙන්න මේ disposal දෙක බලන්න යන්න investment retention and the associate retention මේක 100% disposal then බලන්න යන්නේ investment retention and the associate retention. What's a different aspect over here? So then we had maybe make a theory of investment retention and the associate retention. What do you mean by it? We had 90% stake over a subsidiary. We had 90% stake over subsidiary. 90% stake over 10% මොකද්ද? NCI. ඒකේ NCI account එක තියෙනවා මේ වෙලාවේ. ඒ විදිහ කියන්න දෙයක් නැහැ නේද? NCI account එක තියෙනවා. Simple. Now we are moving out. Previously, we disposed this 100%. 100% of this 90%. 90% සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම as a bulk we dispose. Now we are disposing how much? Now we are disposing 80%. 80% means investment retention. 60% means associate retention. 60% dispose කරන කීයක් විතර වෙනවද? 30ක් විතර වෙනවා. 130ක් stake එකක් කියන්නේ කියලා. Associate investment එක significant influence එකක්. අපි 130ක් තියාගෙන ටික 130ක් වුණාම අපේ acquisition control එක ගිහිල්ලාද? ගිහිල්ලා. ඒ යන තැනදී අපි disposal account එක කරන්න. හැබැයි අපිට තව account එකක් තියෙනවා මෙතන. මොකද ඒ account එක associate account එක තියෙනවා. අපි equity account කරන්න ගන්න ඕනේ එතනදී. I think you are getting me right. So then we are going to dispose this, right? What then? Galle කොහොමද කියන්නේ? Galle කියනවා what we had a 90% stake. You are getting 600 million consideration. You are planning to give from your 90%, your 60%, you are planning to give for 500,000. But සල්ලි ගාණක් හම්බ වෙනවා. ඒකට වා දෙන්නේ කොච්චරද? වා දෙනවා 60% දෙනවා. Consideration එකට. අන්නේ හම්බෙන cash consideration. For 60% for cash consideration, we call as cash for 60%. ඒක අපි මෙහෙම දාගන්න. That's a consideration for 60%. 30% you are keeping still keeping. You have to do a valuation for that 30%, right? You have to do a valuation for that 30%. How much of the value? You know, the remaining 30% as at the disposal date. This much of value is there. If you don't have that value, what we can do? Get the net assets, calculate 30%. You don't have a value. We assume that net asset equal to the fair value. Otherwise, examiner should give the fair value for the 30%. 30% value will be given there. So then they are clearly saying, you had 90%. Understand, you had 90%. From that 90%, we are planning to dispose 60% for 500,000. Remaining 30%, this much of value is there. This much of value is there. That value, investment in associate 40%. අන්න ඒක දැන් අලුත් account එකකට යනවා. අද account එක. Investment in associate account. Equity account, investment account එකක් open වෙනවා. Disposal. So the main NCI part එක තමයි මේකත් අපි ගන්න ඕනේ මේකත්. NCI part එකක් ගන්න. දැන් කලින් consideration එකේ part කීයද තිබුණේ? කැලි දෙකයි තිබුණේ. NCI plus disposal consideration. Now we have three. NCI, cash consideration, and the remaining investment value. Remaining investment value, right? So the remaining investment value also kind of a value you have. You are losing your control, but you have that asset in that to that consideration. Right? So then this is the one, okay. The investment retention. This is the 40% now. If you are accounting for 10%, the investment retention. Right? You are accounting for 10%, the investment retention. So then after putting to this account, if it is 40%, different accounting treatment, equity accounting investment, associate investment, as per LKS 27, right? So then, if you are put into a 10% account, is a financial instrument, SLFRS 9. SLFRS 9, they are value through PML. They are value through PML. This is equity account, equity investment, right? So that depends. This is the way you have to calculate your disposal gain or loss. And then this is the first option. This is the second and fourth option. And third option. Third option, no any disposal. Third option, no any disposal. Subsidiary retention. Disposal එකක් නැහැ. We are not losing the control. It's a transaction with NCI. Transaction with NCI. අපි separate account එකක් හදනවා. Transaction with NCI. What's the transaction here? We had 90%. 10% disposed, remaining 80%. Remaining 80%. Still control is there. Still we are having the control. So then what we are going to do now? We have the NCI account. At the point of this transaction, what we have to do? Calculate your net assets. At the point of this transaction, calculate your net assets. Or get your NCI fair value. Or calculate your net asset and then calculate this 10%. That is calculate your 10% value. And then calculate your 10% value and debit here 10%, credit here 10%, debit here 10%, credit here 10%. මොකද කරන්නේ? වැරදිනේ. වැරදුනානේ. එන්නම ඩෙබිට් කරන්න බෑනේ. ඩෙබිට් කරේ ගන්නව නම්. ඩෙබිට් කරේ අපි ට්‍රාන්සැක්ෂන් එක කියන්නේ 10ක් NCI එකෙන් ගන්න ඕන. NCI අඩු කරා. දැන් මොකද වෙන්නේ? NCI වැඩි වෙනවා. කලින් NCI කලින් තිබුණේ කීයද? 10 තිබුණේ. කන්ෆියුස් කරගන්න එපා. මේ transaction with NCI two different methods. We can get 10% from NCI, we can give 10% from NCI. At the point of disposal, We are giving 10% to NCI. So then NCI should be credited. NCI should be credited. NCI 10 ඉඳලා කීයද වැඩි වෙනවද? 20ට වැඩි වෙනවා. 10 ඉඳලා 20ට වැඩි වෙනවා. ඇයි අපි 90 ඉඳලා 10ක් යාට දෙනවා. දැන් අපිට තියෙන්නේ 80. Right? Credit here, debit here. Debit here, NCI. To give that to NCI, we are getting cash. අපි මේ 10 දෙන්නේ නිකන් NCI නෑ. We are getting cash. Cash debit, credit to here. Cash debit, credit to here. Right? As at this transaction date, මේ කවදද වෙන්න පුළුවන්? Accounting period එකේ මුල වෙන්න පුළුවන්, මැද වෙන්න පුළුවන්, අග වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මැද වුණොත් කොහොමද? මැද වුණොත් profitability එක අවුරුද්දට කැල්කුලේට් කරලා භාගයක් හදලා ඒකේ NCI එන්න දාලා ඒ භාගයෙන් 10 කඩලා ඒකේ impact එක දාලා දෙත ගන්නවා. ඒක ආයෙත් උගන්වන්න sense එකකින් ඉන්න ඕන. තේරෙනවද දැන් කියන්නේ? දැන් මේක වෙන තැන අනුව වෙනස්. Right? ඔයාගේ මේ transaction එක වෙන්නේ let's say at the point of mid of the year. June වල නම් what you have to do? You have to calculate this 10%. Once you are calculating 10%, you need to calculate the net assets. Once you are calculating net assets at the mid of the year, what you have to do? You have to get the January to June profitability as well for the net assets. Right? So then you have to calculate that profitability, add to your return earnings, and calculate this 10%, credit here, debit here. And then you are calculating what? This is a gain. Gain from transaction with NCI. This is a again, this is a separate equity item in the balance sheet. Separate equity item in the balance sheet. මෙන්න මේක එන්න පුළුවන් exam එකකින්. ඇයි මම එහෙම කියන්නේ? ඒක එන්න පුළුවන්. That can be highly possible to test in the exam. This part. So I'm giving kind of a disposal part. මට ඒතකොට disposal දැම්ම කියලා සතුට වෙන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි balance sheet එක dispose වෙලා නැහැ, control එක ගිහින් නැහැ. සම්පූර්ණ balance sheet එකේ increase එක එනවා අපිට. company එක reflect වෙන්නේ නැහැ. This is a high possibility to test in the exam. Right? තමයි target කරන්නේ. area එක. තමයි අහන්න පුළුවන් disposal කරනවා. සම්පූර්ණ dispose කරන එක not possible. මේකත් එන්න පුළුවන් සමහර වෙලාවට. ඒකත් අඩුයි ටිකක්. මේක එන්න පුළුවන්. Highly possible. We had a subsidiary 10% disposed. No impact to the year-end consolidated balance sheet. Why? Still we have the control line by line consolidation is there. Okay, I hope this is clear. And then being disposal. Being disposal not the only change. We don't have a cash consideration. We are losing the control. We are losing the control without cash consideration. Right? So you have to calculate your disposal gain or loss account and disposal, calculate the disposal gain or loss account, calculate the kind of a deemed disposal loss, right? According to that count. So what are the scenarios? Scenarios you may have deemed disposal. You may have a right issue. Scenarios for deal disposal. Scenarios for deal disposal. Subsidiary company can do a right issue. Parent company won't accept that. Won't accept that, or subsidiary offer, a parent may be rejected the right issue. Right. Or there may be a call option or put option. Share option can be used by NCI party. There may be a share option to NCI that was used by NCI party without getting any consent from parent company. Or else there may be a share issue, normal share issue, parent company not going to subscribe. Those are the scenarios. There may be a deal disposal. Are you getting what you mean by deal disposal? Deal disposal is full bag. Disposal company full bag. Over the land, we can land. Adumagan disposal scenarios you want that. Yeah. Full bag. What does that mean? We controller dispose करना. Post करना. VCP का बोलना होता है Fact से जो last point. Without disposing, our control can be dissipated. Control can be diluted. Why state fiscal company? You have invested in a company. You have invested in a company. You have 90%, other parties having 10%. Over there, you have 90%, other party having 10%. 90% means you are controlling this company, right? Without your control, without your the awareness, that company should be some other shares. Some other shares. You are going to subscribe to the shares. So then that shares will be to some outside shareholders. So then once now your participation is 0%, your commission will be decreased. You haven't disposed anything. Once you are giving you a number of shares, number of shares are behind. Then shares. That's the deal disposal. Without disposing, your controlling power, your emotion will be reduced. Right? I think you are getting what I am telling. No. Oh. Associate 30 hours. And the 30 49 30. What do you NCI portion in a P is 30. 30, 30, 10. This goes 60. 100. 60 cash disposal, 30% associate, 10% NCL. Altogether 100%. Good. I think this is the basic concept. Then if you are having P&L and the balance sheet, P&L and the balance sheet, that is the area you need to think now. So then these are the scenarios. Examiner can give different scenarios. You may request it to do the P&L, right? If it is so, disposal can be happen at the year end. At the year end, if you are disposing, your P&L should be consolidated. P&L should be for the period. Console P&L, no impact to the console P&L. Your disposal will be happen at the year end. So then no impact to your console P&L. So then disposal happened at the year end. Your balance sheet will be impacted fully. Why? One company fully you have to remove from the total balance sheet once you are doing your disposal. If you are doing your disposal at the mid of the year, examiner request to do the consolidation P&L. What you have to do is consolidated P&L. Let's say you are having two companies. One company you are keeping for next 10 years. So then it's a part of the consolidated P&L. And one company you are going to dispose mid of the year. So then parent company. So then your consolidated P&L composed with what? Parent company 1 year, subsidiary A 1 year, subsidiary B, disposal company. Your consolidated P&L composition. You have to think. You can declare P&L. Are you getting what I am telling? In your group, you are having the parent and two subsidiaries, subsidiary 1 and subsidiary 2. Simple, right? Subsidiary 1 you are not going to dispose. Subsidiary 2 you are disposing 30th June. 30th June. What I want to say is, once you are doing consolidated P&L at the year end, what about the composition? What about the composition? Parent company 12 months, this subsidiary 12 months, this subsidiary 6 months. This is the console P&L. Keep in mind. Right. After getting this 6 months, as I said previously, after getting this 6 months, then only you have to calculate the net assets and do the disposal and remove your balance sheet from the consolidated balance sheet. Once you are preparing your balance sheet at the year end, you don't have this subsidiary balance sheet, but you have impact to the consolidated P&L. Why? Consolidated P&L for the period, balance sheet asset set. Getting me? Once you are preparing consolidated balance sheet, this company, no impact. No, that company. Because last 6 months, we don't have this company. As at the reporting date, we don't have that company as a consolidated. We have to remove that. But for the P&L, 6 months, we have impact. That was contributed. So then that's the part of consolidated P&L. Once you are disposed. Right. මෙහෙම වුණොත් කොහොමද? There's no impact, no? So the ones you are having in transaction with NCI, we are having transaction with NCI. The transaction will happen June. That transaction will happen through June, right? For the consolidated P&L, the consolidated P&L, no impact. Why? So it is the same. But we need to calculate true profit portion and the implication differs. Implication different means අපි දැන් NCI වෙනම හොයලා එහෙම නෙවෙයි P&L chart. ආයෙත් උඩ අවුලක්. දැන් මේ සිනාරියෝ එකේ මොකද කරන්නේ? June, what we are going to do is we are going to sell 10%. You are going to sell 10% to NCI. You are going to sell 10% to NCI. So my question is, what happened to your P&L? Console P&L? No impact. Why? No impact. Console P&L එක හදනකොට අපි කරන්නේ console P&L එක impact එකක් නැහැ console P&L එක. හැබැයි කොතනද impact එක එන්නේ? මෙන්න මෙතන අපිට පොඩි activity එකක් කරා මෙන්න මේ හැටියට. portion එක වෙනස් කරන දැනක් කොහොමද? අඩලා අයින් කළාද? වෙන් කරලා දැන් NCI portion එක මෙච්චරයි parent ගේ portion එක මෙච්චරයි. So then this is the console P&L. Console P&L, right? Console P&L මේක එන්නේ කවුද? Parent plus subsidiary. Subsidiary first 6 months NCI 10%, second 6 months 20%. Second 6 months 20%. Right? Right? Now, what's the implication? Then කොහොමද කරන්නේ? දැන් මම කතා කරන්නේ. මේ figures වලට මොකුත් නැහැ impact එකක්. මේ figures කිසිම impact එකක් නැහැ. මේක ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ කොහොමද? Parent plus subsidiary. Parent plus subsidiary අර unrealized gain වල sales share adjust වෙලා එනවා ලස්සනට. එතකොට මෙතෙන්දී පොඩි implication එකක් කරනවා. අදව සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කරේ as my instruction, what you do is you have to calculate subsidiary profit separately. Calculate your subsidiary profit separately and divide it into NCI and parent. Right? Get the NCI portion, remove it. Balance part you consider as the parent portion. That's a normal scenario. Normal P&L scenario. ඒක මැටික් එකක් වෙන්න බෑ. පදායි කියනවා. P&L එක හදනවා නම් මේක මේ disposal නෙවෙයි නිකම් P&L එක හදනවා. What you have to do? You have to calculate subsidiary profit. You have to calculate subsidiary profit and calculate the NCI percentage, 10% or 20%, and the remaining 90% to the parent. Right? Get this 10%. Get this 10%. Remove that from this amount. Balance is for parent company. एक part දෙකක් තියෙනවා. part දෙක. මේ balance එකේ part දෙකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ balance එකේ part දෙකක් තියෙනවා. parent ගේ සම්පූර්ණ එකයි අර ආපු price එකට එකයි. parent නෑ. හරි. ආයෙත් කියනවා. මේ දෙකේ පන්තිය දෙයක් කියලා දෙන්නේ. console P&L එක හදනකොට parent ගේ P&L එකයි subsidiary P&L එකයි හැදෙන්නේ. එතකොට parent ගේ profit එක 100ක් ආවා. subsidiary එකේ profit එක 50ක් ආවා. සේරම එක දුව කීයද? 150. 150 total consolidated profit. දෙකලගෙම එකතු කරනවා. මම මොකක්ද කිව්වේ? දැන් console profit එක හදලා ඉවර වෙලා දැන් අපි මේකේ නවත්තන්නේ නැහැ. So we need to continue to the balance sheet. අපි P&L එක හදලා මොකක්ද කරන්න ඕනේ step එක? Create to knowledge. We have to put that profit to your retained earnings account. Now this profit belongs to two different parties, NCI and the parent. We have two different stake accounts. For NCI we have separate account. For others we have separate account. We need to split that 150. 150 අපිට උඩ බලාගෙන 10%, 20%, 80% කියලා කඩලා දාන්න පුළුවන්ද? 150 20% stake එකයි 80% stake එකයි කියලා දාන්න පුළුවන්ද බලාගෙන? That's the reason. Parent ගේ 100% parent අයිති. ඒක තේරෙන්නේ නැත්නම් ඔය console parent. ඒක තේරෙන්නේ නැත්නම් console parent. හරිනේ? parent ගේ සම්පූර්ණ hold percentage එක මේ 100 කාටද අයිති? සම්පූර්ණ parent අයිති. සම්පූර්ණ parent අයිති. ඔය අඩන්නේ මෙන්න මේක. Right. 20 to 80. ඒක තමයි කිව්වේ. What 20 to 80 individual subsidiary के profit එක calculate your subsidiary profit and split that to 20 to 80. Right? 20 to 80. Right? So then 10 and 40. This 10, you can deduct this 10. So then remaining 140. 140. What is that? Parent portion. මොකක්ද ප්‍රශ්නේ වෙයි? Parent portion එකේ cash දෙකක් තියෙනවා මොකක්ද? Parent ගේ full එකයි. මෙන්න මේ parent ගේ full 100 එකයි. මේකෙන් ආපු 40 එකයි. දෙකේ එකතුව තමයි parent වෙන්නේ. ඒක ඉතින් ආයි කියන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. නේද? මේක තේරෙන්නේ නැත්තම් once you are having in between transaction like this, what you have to do? ඒක කියන්න තමයි යන්නේ. මේක දැන් already කියලා කතා කරන ගණන් හදපු දෙයක් මේ කිව්වේ. ලොකු ගානකුත් Excel එකකුත් share කරලා තියෙනවා. group එකේ. මේ දැන් කියන්නේ ඊළඟ step එකට. So then if we are having a scenario like this inside the in between the accounting period, what we have to do is this 50 should be splitted to 2. Right? Now, this first 6 months NCI, 10%. Second 6 months NCI 20%. NCI 20%. So then what you have to do? This 50 should be split at 25 to 25. Right? From this 25, 10% NCI, 90% parent. This NCI, 20% NCI, 80% parent. Right? So then, මෙතන අනුකරණය ගන්නවා කීයද එතකොට? මෙන්න මේ answers දෙක එකතු කරලා මෙතෙන්ට ගන්නවා. මෙතනින් first half එකෙන් 10%. Second half again 20%. Get here and deduct it. Balance is the parent portion. Right? එතකොට වා මේ 10% ගත්ත amount එක දාලා ගන්න කරපු එකෙන් තමයි NCI equity component එක හොයන්නේ. gain or loss එක හොයන්නේ. Right? So then this 10%, this 10% should be accounted first and calculate net asset at this date. Net asset at this point and calculate that position and calculate the percentage, compare with the consideration, calculate the equity component. For that, you have to get this 10%. ඒක ඔළුවෙන් ඉන්න ඕන. මේක තේරෙන ළමයි 10ක් වෙන්න. Maybe 10%. This is complex. This is complex. The impact may be very minimal. Impact may be very minimal. You need to know the mechanism, right? You need to know the mechanism. මෙහෙම scenario එකක් එන්නේ නැහැ exam එකේ. exam එකේ දෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඔයාලා සතුටු වෙන්න එපා exam එකේ දෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. හැබැයි ඔයාලා සතුටු වෙන්න ඕන logic එක තේරෙන්න. I'm going to teach a logic. Right? So that's really important. So to do this mechanism, we have assumption. What is that? We assume that all the revenue figures, all the expenses figures spread throughout the period averagely. There's no seasonal impact. That's an assumption. And it's logical. It's that's about the problem. That's why we are going to divide that in the, if it is June, the transaction will be happen in June, we divide it into 2. 50 divided into 25, 25. First half 25, second half 25. What's the assumption? We spread all the income and expenses spread away throughout the period. You don't have seasonal income. January product income won't come. Same can do. Product companies or then or investment again 9 years invest කරලා June වල 10 dispose කරනවා. What can pull first 6 months තමයි මම ගොඩාක්ම කරේ. earn කරලා තියෙන මේ අවුරුද්දේ. first 6 months ගොඩාක් earn කරේ season එක. ඒ season එකේ අපි salary ටික තියන් හිටියා. We have invested in first 6 months. So then we need more percentage. So then remaining 6 months you don't have revenue. We contributed to your annual profit out of annual profit 80% we contributed in first 6 months. If it is so, your percentage is not 50-50. That's seasonal. These type of arrangements are there. Once you are doing auditing, once you are doing accounting, right? That's what your requirements there in the accounting field. Otherwise, doing this debit credit, no need, right? The arrangement, this simple percent, this simple amount may be billions, right? Billions. This simple average calculation. This transaction, 10% transaction happened mid of June. The entry, calculation, negotiation, everything may be billions. So then for do that transaction, you may be the critical person involving and calculating all the calculations, justification, right? Keep in mind, your role is essential, not for the exam, but for this type of scenarios. Your knowledge is very essential. Keep in mind. That's what we are learning these scenarios. Why then we surprise and above? We have different scenarios, right? I hope you are okay. Make a table. I try to run. Okay. So we can go to, I uploaded one question related to disposal. It's question set 6. Can you try this? There may be step disposal as well. Step disposal. Step disposal. Step acquisition we did 10% acquired, 20% acquired, 30%, 50%, 90% likewise. Disposal also can be done like that. So without doing straight away 100% disposal, but we can do 10% dispose, 30% dispose, 50%, 80%, 100% dispose. That can be happening 3 different financial years or within one financial year. Keep in mind, different scenarios are there. We have a different 700,000. Want to check that? I will tell you later, right? So this is the way we need to finalize. Basically, do I need to explain the steps? Here we finalize the income statement. Income statement, you can see disposal happened, 100% disposal happened mid of the year. It means we took this for half year. So subsidiary, full impact for the parent. Right? So then altogether profit 700,000. 40%, 20% of 200,000 profit. 200,000 profit for half year. So then that was credited to NCA account. And then 660 credited to consolidated earnings. That was done. And then this is the pure acquisition. Goodwill calculated, that goodwill transferred to disposal account. Right? And then NCI, we had NCI 90,000 at the acquisition. NCI created 90,000. Current period 40,000. Current period increased 40,000. And then altogether this 130. The 130 we took here. Right? And then we created the disposal account. Disposal cash consideration 900,000. 900,000 we need to add here, keep in mind. Parent company cash position should be increased, current assets. Once you are preparing balance sheet. Current asset, how you are getting 1,400? Current asset balance sheet says 500,000. 500,000 plus 900,000, 1,400 plus 500, 1,400 PP&E 1,500, altogether 2,900. So the basic logic is this, right? I will share the Excel working to you all. So then we can figure it out. What's the link? And you can cross check what are the impacts, right? So the basic logic is this. So then end of the day, you are just preparing the balance sheet, right? Only for the parent company. That's a key part. Then what difference I will tell you. What's that? Yes. Return earnings. Subsidiary return earnings. We got this from this account. We have already calculated this one. Remaining one, so then this 500 we took in the subsidiary account at the year end. You can see year end 1,000 from return earnings. Return earnings 1,000. Once you go into the P&L, retained profit back brought forward 600. Right? We compare. Brought forward 600,000. Right? 600,000, 100,000, 100,000 and the acquisition. Right? The remaining 500. Remaining 500, current period not included here. Current period how much? 600 to 1,000. So then it was calculated here. It was not credited here. Why? Credited here. Why? We are not going to split that and put into here and here. So then straight away we put that portion 40 here and put into here. We are not going to put here and split that to two separate accounts. So then this is the 500,000 amount retained. So then this is how you have to do kind of a consolidated question. If you are complex with this calculation, I am sharing the Excel working with you. Don't worry about that. You can go to links and you can understand particular entries. And the basic understanding is this account. Or may account take a focus කරන්නේ. May account take already draw කරලා තියෙන්නේ cost of control account. This account already done. This account already done. Only this account. This is the kind of a opposite account of this. Make opposite එකක් කියලා පේනවද මේක? Disposal account. වාට නිකන් එහෙම මතක තියාගන්න පුළුවන්. Cost of control account එකේ goodwill එක මොන පැත්තටද තියෙන්නේ? මේ side එක. හැබැයි මේකේ තියෙන්නේ මේ side එක. Stated capital credit, stated capital debit. Retained earning credit, retained earning debit. Cash debit, cash credit. NCI debit, NCI credit. So at the point of acquisition, at the point of disposal, that's why I told acquisition, disposal, two separate words, opposite word. We have to do opposite transaction. The results, here we are result getting a goodwill. Here we are result gain or loss. Both are gains. Goodwill also a gain. Different name, different terminology, different name, right? Okay, I hope you are clear with this and done with disposal. And again, oh. මෙයාගේ මේ balance sheet එකේ මේ end balance එක අපිට return earnings කියලා පාවිච්චි කරොත් they have calculated that for overall year, not last 6 months also calculated here. You can't get that. That's why we are giving retained brought forward profit. We need to focus that. Otherwise, you will get misleaded. So then retained brought forward, retained profit carried forward 1 million. That reflects here. That reflects here. Right. So the in between 600,000 and 1 million. How much? 601, 400,000. 400,000. 400,000. What's the implication for 400,000? 400,000 for 12 months. For 12 months subsidiary profit, right? For this 12 months, 6 months we are going to consolidate. Other 6 months, අපි දන්නේ මොකක්ද කරන්න කියලා. එළිය. ඒක අපි ගන්නෑ. ඒක අපේ නෑ මේ balance sheet එක. අපි balance sheet එක ඇතුලේ ඒ 6 months නෑ. ඒක නිසා අපි ඒ return earnings ගන්න බෑ. You can study that number and so then you can understand what's happening, what's the meaning of that. So consolidation, we discussed disposal scenarios, and I'll give you some questions and answers to you all. Further, I want to discuss deferred tax. Deferred tax කතා කරන්න ඕන. Right? Deferred tax අපි basic logic and what are the implications in console. Topics ටිකක් දාගන්න පරිබෙදෙන්න. What are the implications here? You can solve these things. You are okay with this. Deferred tax logic should be with you. That's really important. If you have that understanding, why we should have deferred tax, what's the meaning of that, I have already discussed with you all, you should have that understanding about deferred tax. First, you need to learn deferred tax and implication of deferred tax for the consolidated adjustments. Once you are doing an adjustment, you need to adjust the net impact. So then, what are the types of adjustments impact this deferred tax? Example, contingent liability. Contingent liabilities. Are we doing contingent liability related entry here once you are doing consolidation? For example, we can make one here. Consolidate අපි normal accounts එකට කරන්නේ contingent liability අපි booking liability no. Why? As per case 37 really says if you have possible obligation, you don't need to provide. You need to just to make a disclosure. You are not going to provide. But once you are doing consolidation, what you are going to do? You have to identify contingent liability at the point of acquisition. What's the double entry? Contingent liability account credit. Contingent liability account credit. Debit to cost of control account. debit to cost of control account. So then accounting side, we have recognized type of a liability and type of a expense, right? And then tax perspective, what we must do is we need to identify the deferred tax impact. Why? Contingent liability for the tax purpose. We don't need to identify that as an expense. The tax again of the contingent and expense here. No, there's no such a requirement. So then it's a kind of a temporary difference. Temporary. Why? If we have this type of expense in future, that will be allowable by the Inland Revenue Department. But today we are doing this provision. Right? So then once you are doing this provision, make the deferred tax entry. So the what's the provision? Under credit cost of control, contingent liability, debit. So then what you have to do is deferred tax, we have to identify deferred tax asset. Deferred tax asset. Maybe 1 rupee. Cost of control account, credit, debit to deferred tax asset account. මේක තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. deferred tax තේරෙන්නේ නැත්නම් අපි deferred tax ඉගෙන ගමු. Lunch එකෙන් පස්සේ. So then only you can understand why we need to do deferred taxation. Why? If you are doing adjustment for the conservative basis like this, you need to do the net impact. Temporarily, we are having the benefit. You are recording the liability. At the same time, you have to record the benefit as well. Because of recording this type of in the records, you have recorded this as a liability. At the point of that recording, you need to recognize the benefit. That benefit also should be recorded at that point. That's why we are recording this. The net impact is the 99. The liability is 100. Deferred tax asset 1. Those are the types of. Let's say one example, right? One example. Likewise, once you are having internally generated or internal generated intangible asset, you are recognizing at the point of acquisition, then you need to recognize the deferred tax. Likewise, you are having scenarios. Otherwise, let's say at the point of acquisition, you are doing kind of a fair valuation. At the fair valuation, you have to do the deferred taxation. Fair valuation in a deferred tax NAI. So you need to understand what they in then. What a say consolidated is the cost of control account and this goodwill calculation, all are okay. But you don't know what's the logic behind the deferred tax. You should know it first. And then we'll see. Right? So then we'll discuss that after the break. So now almost 1 o'clock. We are starting at 2. 1. 30. 1:30. Quickly we'll start. So then we can finish this discuss this